Hey, everybody. As recruiters, we all know that hiring can be one of the most challenging parts of running a business. Whether you're a startup looking to build a dream team or a well-established company aiming to streamline your recruitment process, the right tools can make all the difference. TeamTailor is a powerful all-in-one recruitment software your candidates and team will love. TeamTailor isn't just a piece of software, it's a way of working. With TeamTailor, you get everything you need in one place: powerful analytics, an AI assistant, customizable workflows, powerful integrations, and more. Plus, TeamTailor is easy to use and implement. You can onboard hiring managers with minimal training and get started right away, thanks to easy implementation and an intuitive, user-friendly interface. In fact, 94% of their users report better team collaboration, 97% see an increase in qualified candidates, and 89% say their hiring process is faster. If you're focused on the candidate experience, it's at the heart of their ATS. Just ask any of the 4 million candidates who connect with customers every month. Join the ranks of over 150,000 recruiters and more than 8,500 companies like Oatly, Porsche, and OneFlow who have transformed their recruitment with TeamTailor. Discover the new way to attract and hire top talent and see the results for yourself. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Rebel TA podcast, where we talk with people and talent leaders in the future of work. You're joined today with Kyle Lagunas, Head of Strategy at Aptitude Research, and Hebba Youssef, Chief People Officer at Workweek and operator of the I Hate It Here newsletter. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us. We're pumped to be here.
Literally the best day of my professional life is joining you for this conversation, Brandon.
Kyle, where are you based and what are you working on?
I am based in Boston. If anybody's familiar with the area, I'm on the South Shore. It's where my husband grew up. Right now, I'm working on we're getting ready for conference season. And so I'm working on 3 different pieces of research. One is on workforce planning. One is on quality of hire. And the other is on skills-based talent strategies. And this talent intelligence thing, I don't know if it's a real thing, but we're looking at it.
Awesome. Hebba, where are you based? What are you up to?
I'm in Washington, D.C. Well, actually, we just left Washington, D.C., and now we live in Vienna, Virginia, which is only 13 miles from Washington, D.C., so I am still in Washington, D.C. I was living in the center of the city. Now I'm a little bit in the burbs. It's been an adjustment for me. Fun things I'm working on the Chief People Officer side. We're hiring a few interesting roles, a few first roles at Workweek, like a first finance hire and a first engineer. So that's been really fun for me. I also play on the recruiting side. So I do our phone screens. I set up some fun stuff there. And on the creator side, I am just dealing with people's feelings about this New York Times article.
Well, let's talk about it. This week, the New York Times, a paper of record, introduced some interesting thoughts around the state of HR. It sounds like they jumped in to unleash our, early stage startup HR tech recruiting conference and had some interesting opinions. So this article went viral, as most things typically do in the world of HR when we get a little bit of light on the work that we do. But what went down? Kyle, Hebba, who wants to jump in first?
Hebba, please.
No, Kyle, you go first because he was at Unleash and I did not go to Unleash.
Well, what had happened was, so Unleash America, they do a conference in America. They do it in Paris for Unleash World. It's all about like the state of HR transformation. I gave a presentation about our research on the space, seeing HR disrupting itself, seeing what's disrupting HR, blah, blah, blah. Afterwards, I was just like decompressing in the press room, and this guy sent down and said, "Hey, I'm a reporter. I work on working on an article for the New York Times about what's going on in HR. Can I pick your brain?" I'm like, "Sure." Very off the cuff. And he had some really strong opinions coming in that I thought were kind of like stereotypical. Just kind of like, okay, well, there's a lot more going on. I think he asked me, like, why does everybody hate HR? I'm like, brother, HR hates HR right now. You know, like I was just kind of like already like back up, like, how dare you?
Yeah.
But yeah, we really just kind of like spilled the tea. Like I was really feeling fired up because of the emotions that were running at the conference, and also having sat on the practitioner side during COVID, and one of the most, actually probably the most challenging role I've ever had, and had some, felt some kind of way about his premise. But yeah, it was at one point I remember him like kind of look extremely confused. Like he's like, hang on, I'm like, I don't understand what you mean. I don't know where you're coming from. And my response was kind of like, well, of course you don't, because you're not really, you don't know what this work really is. You just know what you think people feel about this function. And I really, like, Hebba and I have had a chance to talk about this, but like I really hoped, and maybe it was like naive of me, but I hoped I was like getting through to him and making a strong case that like there's a morale problem in HR that like needs to be addressed and acknowledged and understood. And instead, he really just focused on there's a morale problem in HR. So there we are. But they sent a photographer over to my house, and it was very cute. So
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great photo. The first thing I thought when I saw it was like, oh, what's Kyle's cat's name?
His name is Charlie Murphy, and my dog's name is Ricky James. Charlie
Epic.
Murphy and Rick James. You know, what a pair.
Cuties.
So Hebba, your perspective on the article.
Oh, I got a mysterious email in my inbox about a New York Times reporter that wanted to talk to me. And I have worked in media before. I worked at Axios, and I was just like, what does this man want with me? Like, I'm not hiring anyone. I'm not hiring journalists. I don't know what he wants from me. And he was like, well, I'm trying to write a story about HR. Can you just talk to me? And so I got on the phone and I was like, hey, first of all, is this off the record until I understand what it is we're talking about? And he said, yes. So I basically asked a bunch of questions. What are you trying to write? And he said, just an article about HR and like what they're experiencing in this world. And I was like, cool. I write a newsletter about this. Was literally what I told him on the first call. I was like, yeah, I've been writing a newsletter for like 2 years about this very topic. And he was like, oh, I had no idea. And I was like, well, how'd you get my name? And he's like, well, I was at Unleash interviewing a bunch of people and someone mentioned you. And I was like, well, thank you to whoever mentioned me, because that's how I met this man. And he just kept asking questions. Like we exchanged emails for 5 months, honestly, until the article came out. Like he would ask me something, I would send him back a response. He would ask me something, I would send him back a response. He asked about like how HR felt about unions. I tried to give him the story about why I write I Hate It Here, where I was like, I think HR people really need an outlet. We're really struggling. And even within our own industry, there are people who are having very different experiences than some of us. And like I've worked at 4 startups, 2 of them had first-time founders, 2 of them had second-time founders. And so I'm very intimately acquainted with like how bad it can be. And I know how good it can be as well. And so I was excited that he was going to write an article kind of shedding light on how HR gets ragged on all the time. And also we are struggling with so much internally that like all of that on nobody appreciating us, all the hard work we're doing, it adds up. And we're in like a very critical, I think, breaking point for our industry, which I thought we were going to break in like 2022, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now we're in 2024 and I'm still like, we need to have a reckoning with our own industry.
That's an interesting point about the time it took to publish. Mm-hmm. I started my career in a Hearst newspaper, like writing in a newsroom. And now I work for a media company. And my first impression when I read this article was like, why are they talking about Unleash? Like this went down months ago.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's not my first impression. My first impression was, an article about HR. And I thought in my mind, who they're going to interview. You could probably come up with a list of names. And then when I saw your photos, I was like so psyched. I was like, yes, these are the people doing some cool work. It's not just like CNBC, ex-Googler says this, Laszlo says that. What's interesting about this article is that like everyone from Laszlo Bach to the recruiting coordinator down the block chimed in on LinkedIn. And it was kind of a dog pile moment. I caught on pretty quickly, like Hebba specifically, you were jumping in like, hey, what's up, girl from article? And I think that's really important because it sheds light on a fundamental problem with how we report on what's going on in the world of tech. The future of work is moving far too fast for traditional publishing to keep up. And one of the pieces they missed glaringly is the fact that the story was written before they did the interviews. They already knew what they wanted to say. It seemed like they just needed to validate a thesis or two. Hebba, I want to go back to you because you're publishing content, you're creating a community, or you have created a community. I think it might be easy for folks to peg you as a negative person and that like typical naysaying HR person because like your community is called I Hate It Here. But like give more context around that because all my favorite HR friends like love and worship you.
Oh my God. Wow. I'm not worthy of being any worshipped. I'm such a dork. I get this every single month. Actually, I get it like once a week. Someone will write in and be like, I love your content, but I hate the name. You should think about changing it. And I'm like, hi, thank you for your feedback. Like, let me tell you a little bit about why it's called I Hate It Here. Because when I started at Workweek, like I've been building this brand with Workweek where I play the chief people officer role and also one of our content creators. And we leave the content name up to the creator. And they came to me and they said, what do you want your brand about HR to be about? And I said, hey, I think we should call it I Hate It Here. And they were like, whoa, no one's going to sponsor a newsletter called I Hate It Here. We can't do that. And I said, if you just called it I Hate It Here, like it will have people read it. People will come and read it because it's a quiet feeling I think a lot of us have felt. And I even talked to Kyle about this earlier today. I have a book about anger and rage and how women are told to not be angry about things. And 70% of HR is women. And so I've been really thinking about this idea of like, maybe a lot of us are really unhappy, but everyone's too afraid to say it. And so I said, we should name it I Hate It Here because one, that's my deepest fear for an employee. For an employee to come to me and say, I hate working here means like I have failed as an HR person. And the other piece of it is I have hated working places because I can't change them. And I wanted something that captured both something that we are afraid of and something maybe that we also feel. And it's very rooted in like optimism. I don't hate on things in the newsletter. I literally take a concept or an idea. I talk about why it's difficult, and then I give you ideas for how to fix it.
Quick plug for anybody.
Optimism.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
It's optimistic.
I think optimism is the like silent superpower of folks that work in HR and recruiting and what makes us different from operations or sales in a lot of ways. But there isn't a lot of HR for HR. And sometimes we need these like safe spaces and quiet conversations. And Kyle, like you've been around the space, you do a lot of events, you're going on the circuit. Conferences are kind of that way. It seems like somebody infiltrated our safe space. Talk about that.
Honestly, his write-up was like that we were eating chocolate dipped pretzels in vendor booths and then like crying into our cocktails at night. And I was just like, fuck you, dude. Like maybe we were, but like that was our safe space. And you're going to come in and like judge us for needing a place to like commiserate, share experiences, learn from each other, therapize each other, you know, like actually while I was there, I recorded a podcast about self-love and I bawled my eyes out on it. And you're like, it's like an extremely, I'll have to see the episode. It's like,
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, you came to our space, bro. Like, and I don't know, but you said something like, we need more like HR for HR. And I thought that maybe that's what this could be. But I have been very surprised, and I hesitated to react when I saw people sharing the article, maybe disagreeing with the narrative, but also kind of that narrative was quoting people that I know and respect. So it felt kind of like they were challenging our experiences and perspectives. But I was really hesitant to engage because I'm like, well, shit, maybe people were saying like, this narrative is tried, like this narrative is old, like of course HR is hard, and if you didn't know that, then you should find a new career and da 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 da. And it was just like, ew, like, and this wasn't just from people who haven't done the job, although that has happened. It's also, there are people who are like those pick me people, like, oh, well, this job's not too hard for me. And like, all you have to do is find the right place to work and the right boss and the right opportunity to make it. You just have to really be focused on making an impact. And it's like, also, fuck you. You know, it's like, you think that any of us who are having a hard time are not trying to make an impact? Like, or that we're all just sitting here like, woe is me. Like, look, there are toxic people in every profession, like, absolutely no doubt. But I know the people that were quoted in this article, and they're not toxic. And you know what? They do have a bone to pick. And I think that it's worth listening to them, because the reality is there's so much. I mean, talk about coming off the conference track. I spent half the year at conferences, and the amount of aspirational, out of touch, useless thought leadership that is in the space, that's toxic, my friend. And like, that is what I thought we were kind of breaking out of with this article. I was like, you know what? Let's cut through the noise and say what's really going on. And I kind of was stunned to find that not everybody in the profession really aligned to it. And that there was actually, I want dialogue on this. I think that we need to keep the spotlight on this. But I don't know. It's like, it didn't feel very much like HR taking care of HR. And like, there has been like backlash as part of the viralness of this. It's been a lot of people that are like, I don't agree. I'm like, okay.
I think what made it significant for me when I started seeing a lot of leaders at companies, like people I know and respect, like chime in, it was like, okay, sweet. You're going to share this article and some thoughts on it. And those posts are going viral. And it's like, well, let's actually talk to the source, and let's sit down and address the elephant in the room around the HR community and content and the role that LinkedIn plays.
Yeah.
Right now, we have all seen this infiltration of negativity hit LinkedIn, and maybe that's a result of the algorithm. However, the easiest thing I can say to explain this is it's almost like all the folks from anti-work Reddit now came over to LinkedIn and just want to shit post people. And probably like you two,
It's fun.
I've been on LinkedIn since before the news feed. Like, I'm just out here creating community since like 2014 on LinkedIn. Hey, just minding my own business. And now all these people who don't know me pile on my friends. They pile on me, and we're combating this anti-work mob. Or folks that are disenfranchised in their career, and hiring in HR is far too vast for there to be a one-size-fits-all solution.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I think ultimately there's this divisiveness within our own community. And I'd love to hear your perspectives on how we can overcome that and almost get rid of this purity test BS that seems to be happening within the field of HR, and who's right and who's wrong and who's going to get dunked on today.
I feel like this is like a lightning rod moment for you and like your cohort. Do you want to talk?
I just like, why do we care about who's right and who's wrong? People are having experiences at work, and everyone, I feel for so long, everyone was afraid to say, I'm not having a good time. Whereas I was like, I'm not having a good time. I'm going to tell everybody I'm not having a good time.
Yeah.
I don't feel emotionally safe. I don't feel protected. I don't feel like anyone's taking care of me. Like, I'm just going to say that because it helps you. And honestly, I've seen the negative backlash to the article, the comments, the people posting it. Like, you've seen me comment on them like, hi, the girl in the picture, I'm right here. Yeah. I'll tell you what I think. The amount of
by the way, can we just like get like, you were the like,
and they couldn't even tag me. They literally couldn't. They couldn't. I think I got annoyed where I was like, "There are like 5 people in the article. You can't tag the people. You have a community of 1 million people following you, and you can't give credit to the HR people who were actually interviewed in the article. Like that to me, true. I'm always like, hey, if I have followers, I'm going to get everyone else followers. Like we should all be supporting each other. So like, I thought that was weird, but I thought it was so interesting because for all the negative things that were said, I have like hundreds of inbox people in my inbox on LinkedIn saying, thank you for saying the quiet part out loud. I have felt this and nobody will say it. And I'm so scared that I'm just by myself and I'm miserable. And so for all the people that were negative and they're listening to this, like you need to have some self-awareness and you need to have some empathy because there are people who are having different experiences. Like, do I want to go somewhere and have the best experience of my life and never have to advocate for things and never have to fight for what's right? Yeah, totally. That sounds like a cushy, nice job. That is not the state I'm in. I work in early stage startups. I work with young founders. I try to help people build great companies. That means I have hardships, but that does not discredit that I can be miserable sometimes doing this work. And in my post, I said, until the miserable days outweigh the good days, I will keep showing up to do this work. There's
Yes.
hard parts of everyone's job, and all of them trying to discredit the fact that this job is hard actually only hurts our perception more.
It's enabling. So look, I have already taken some heat from this directly, but hope you don't mind me saying this on your show, Brandon. Josh Burson shared this article. Josh Burson is the most influential analyst and potentially influencer in the HR tech, HR transformation world. And he's a colleague of mine too. I'm an analyst. He's an analyst. And he shared the article, and he was one of the ones that said, I don't believe that this is real. This is I don't think this is right. And kind of rallied his network to validate him. And there were people on that thread who did, but there were also, Hebba, yourself included, jumped in to say, excuse me, this is important. The reason why it is, I hear what you're saying, Hebba, it is not a matter of who's right and who's wrong. His opinion is also, he talks to a lot of people who are excited about the work they're doing. I totally get that. The problem, though, was it is wrong to say that your experience is not right, that to undermine your experience, especially when you are in a position that Josh is. And I need to talk to Josh. He reached out to me because he was not happy that I took issue with him either. But the problem with someone like Josh, with their platform, the problem with other executives, HR executives publicly calling this down, is it is enabling the senior executives, who are the ones that are cutting our budgets, who are the ones that are piling work onto us, the ones who are making us run return to office scenarios that never got implemented, the ones that made us hire thousands and thousands of people that didn't have work to do, that we then had to lay off. All of that is enabled by somebody who says, don't listen to those people. They're toxic. They're weak. They don't belong in the space. It's no, actually. And you called it out, Brandon, earlier. You were glad to see people in this article who are not the usual crew. Hebba and I, you, Brandon, we're the new gen. All right. This is our world. Okay.
Hell yeah.
You've had your time, boomers. And I love you. I respect you. And you all work hard. You still contribute to society. Yes. But maybe you do need to listen to us. We got shit on so hard, post recession about we were the generation Y and we needed feedback. And the number of HR conferences I went to where people were just taking a total crap on millennials was absolutely discriminatory. And my back is up so high because I'm so frustrated with people that are trying to push us to the sideline when it really is our time to step into the front line. If we are telling you that there is a deep, deep problem in the heart of HR, and we are representative of a new generation of get shit done professionals, then you need to listen to us, right? And especially if you're more experienced, especially if you are have a bigger platform to stand on, you need to say, maybe we should listen to this next gen, not just relegate them to whiners that aren't cut out for the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
I loved being called a complainer. People were they're just complaining. And I was if you knew anything about me, I had one standing rule on any team I've ever been on. You are more than welcome to complain about something, but you better give me a solution to how we're going to fix it. And if you can't come up with a solution, you got to work with me to help us find one. So the fact that people were they're complaining about being in HR, I'm I'm sorry that my lived experience is a complaint to you. And I also thought it was very interesting that a lot of the people that were well, I'm not having that experience at work, all really seem to belong to one demographic group.
I'll say that.
There's something interesting to say about that.
Yeah, I'll say that part. HR and the money that's up for grabs at some of these conferences and the space and the media opportunities and the content is dominated by cisgender white men. And I hate seeing people punch down from that generation. I think fundamentally, in 20 years, if I were adopting the perspective and posting content and publishing some of the thought leadership we see from the most influential men in HR tech, I would be embarrassed. I would crawl into a hole and die. And I think we need to have this voice and have forum and find new ways to build community. And that includes voices that don't look like ours, don't sound like ours, make us feel uncomfortable, challenge the status quo. One of the thoughts that I've been chewing on is Kyle, you're the conference guy.
You can call me the
prob-
conference
And more.
queen.
Conference queen. Conference queen. So
I want to be the
if
conference queen.
we have the same people speaking at these conferences year after year, just rebranding their messaging for their consulting firms, why are businesses still reporting the same problems?
Can you hear me grinding my teeth? I mean, that's also the what is just so infuriating to me is that I just came off of 12 weeks of conferences in the spring, and guess how many of them Josh Bersin was keynoting? Do you know what I mean? And it's just
Money.
can the producers of this industry, the underwriters of this industry, can we get a new fucking idea? Can we maybe take a chance on somebody else? Can we bring somebody else up on stage? What about instead of having some conflated thought leader? And I'm not calling Josh that. Just to be clear, I'm just saying conflated thought leader. What if we actually put a panel of executives that are professional, that are doing the work? Why don't we actually just spill the tea on stage and talk about what we're doing, what we're challenged with? Why don't we take the people that are making money off of selling their expertise to this audience? Why don't we take them off stage and put the ones that are actually doing the work and it can mentor the new generation, can encourage and inspire the new generation at a colleague level? Why are we still putting the platform that these people are standing on, that they're punching down from, is rich, honey. Millions and millions of dollars are going into standing these people up, because what they're doing is they're pulling their underwriters' ideas up with them. They're pulling up this cool sounding product positioning. They're pulling up this new problem that they can sell to their VCs to grow their TAM. It's hard. I'm not cynical by nature, but it is hard not to get really cynical and disillusioned. I'm going to HR Tech Conference. I don't know if you guys go to it. It's probably one of the biggest shows in the HR Tech space. It actually is the biggest show in the HR Tech space. And I'm not really excited about any of the content because it's the same shit. Every single speaking slot is paid for by a sponsor, which means there is no real merit for any of the content and conversation. It is just whoever's willing to pay for a spot. I'm so over it. And when something like this comes out that has heart, Hebba, I wasn't thinking about how is this going to sound to the broader world. When I was being interviewed.
Me neither. I didn't think anyone was going to see it.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would pour my heart into it, and we need more heartfelt, just brash, just open dialogue out in the public, not just at the conferences when we're sitting down at the end of the night. And I don't know, I'm kind of frustrated that in this instance of putting our heart into something, it's getting smacked down, I want more of those inboxes, messages of hey, thank you.
Yeah.
That meant a lot. If I get 3 of those, I'm happy. But so far I feel like I've been playing on the defense a lot.
HR is too small. Go ahead, Hebba.
Yeah, I said I feel like I've made a branding for myself as just the person who will say it. So ain't no one coming into my inbox to try to tell me I'm wrong, honestly. My inbox is a lot of people being thank God you said that, because someone knows if they come at me and they say you were wrong, they know I'll be oh, this is being screenshotted and blasted everywhere. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. I'm not here for you to gaslight me and for you to tell me my experience is not real. Do you know how infuriating it is to see so many cisgender white men in those comments telling me that they don't have that experience? And I literally want to say, shut the fuck up. You have so much privilege. You have so much privilege that you haven't had to fight, that you haven't had to have these hard conversations, that you haven't had to hear things like our vice president is a DEI hire, and then think oh my God, what, I'm a woman, am I a DEI hire? I'm a brown woman. Maybe people just view me as that. And I think it was so frustrating to see those comments, because I'm literally all of you lead people teams that have people from underrepresented groups. So you're going to discredit the experience that people are having at work, and you're probably discrediting some of the experience your employees are having at work. And come down from your high horse in your second house in Hawaii, where you're telling everyone to go back to the office and you're answering emails on a beach while the rest of us are struggling to buy eggs. I can't.
Yes.
When you're that far and you're so divorced from reality, I'm you got to shut up.
Can
And I
I
want to
ask,
hear people.
like, do you think, like, I hope you don't mind, Brandon, like, I didn't mean to cut you off, but remember when we were trying to be, like, really thoughtful about what we said and,
Mm-hmm.
like who we lifted up and, like, who we, like, beat down? Like, we're talking about 2 years ago. Like, the discourse, and the discourse was tense even during COVID, right? But there was accountability if you were being, like, a discriminatory, gaslighting chauvinist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and again, I'm not calling anybody that we've brought up today a chauvinist, but just
Yeah.
saying, like, we used to have, not that long ago, kind of watch what we said. And look, did the woke police, like woke Twitter, go a little nuts? Like, yeah, I mean, we got pretty reactive with a lot of things, but there's a lot of cleaning up to do. And I'm going to use a political, like, rallying cry right now. I'm not going back. Like, I want us
Mm-hmm.
to continue to get better. And I'm not going to be pushed back and, like, told that my experience is not valid or representative just because it doesn't represent one person who's living in a bubble, a capitalistic bubble. Like, I really want to get back to, we should be taking screenshots. People should be worried about us blowing them out for acting a fool. Like, and they're not.
Yes.
I mean, like, how many conferences did I go to where it was all white people on panels and main stages again? And I'm like, can you even get a gay up there? Like, like.
Anyone, please. I can't believe we're still having all white panels, but I was asked to be a part of one. And I was like, hey, like, I'm brown. I'm technically, it could be white presenting to a lot of people. I'm not joining an all white person panel. Like, you got to go find someone else. That's just, like, not appropriate to me.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And I like that rallying cry, Kyle. Like, I don't want to go back to that. Like, I came up in a place that really supported individual thinking and not just being spoon fed certain ideas or ways of doing things. And Hebba, you mentioned something that is, I hope everybody picks up on, or people pick up on more, but, like, there is no such thing as a diversity hire. That's, like, one of the most offensive things that I've ever heard in HR. And I remember a VP earlier in my career saying, like, asking about a candidate saying, like, is this a diversity candidate? And I remember, like, having to, like, bite down and say, what do you mean by that? And explain, we don't look at the demographic representation of individuals in the pipeline. I am happy to show you an anonymized report of demographics of your team and our pipeline, but let's talk about things in a new way. I see what you are attempting to say, but I want to course correct.
Yeah.
And that was that moment of making impact for me where I said, you know what? I don't want to just be a yes man or do what these people in power think or perpetuates the status quo. And maybe we just need new spaces. Like, I'm not a Vegas person. I avoid it at all costs. Candidly, I'm the worst person in the world you would
I'm gonna
ever
live there
want to
for
Vegas.
all of September.
No, Kyle Lee.
No. I'm gonna be seeing a lot of RuPaul's Drag Review. Like, the RuPaul show in Vegas is real fun. I guess I'll have front row seats by the end.
And maybe someday we're filling the sphere with this new wave of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And when we're, 60, us millennials hosting it and putting these events on. But let's actually talk about community and numbers. Hebba, how many subscribers receive your newsletter on Ballpark?
I think 130,000 last I checked.
That's insane.
And the community, so I actually have a HR community. It's a paid community of over 300 leaders. I think we're approaching 400, and it's called Safe Space.
And that's, I was just going to say, that's 130,000 people who look up to you, who are co-signing, who are saying, yes, this is the vision. This is the leader.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Both of your roles and careers have taken an interesting path. There are new ways of working in HR. We've seen a lot of fractional and great folks who have experienced some legit burnout go out on their own.
Yeah.
There are new ways of working in people operations. Both, you could say that you two have explored. how do your individual career paths align with your values instead of just being rank and file at some cushy big tech company making 200K a year with some RSUs?
I would like nothing more than to have a cushy job. I'm just kidding. I love my job so much. How does it compare? Let me make sure I answer this correctly. I think like uh, my values, my core values, I say them very openly. I have three. It's honesty, it's actually gratitude, honesty, and curiosity. I put gratitude first because I'm grateful every single day that I'm on this earth, that I wake up and I have another day to show up and do the thing and fight for what I believe in. Second is honesty. I will tell you to your face when I don't believe something is good, when it doesn't align with my values, when I think that something nefarious is going on, or I feel like we're walking into a problem area, I will tell you. And my last is curiosity, because this work, the work that got us here, is not going to get us to the future. And we have to be curious about why we do everything. We have to be curious about every thought we have, every unconscious bias thing that we might notice. We have to ask ourselves why every single time we do something, why we do it, what's its purpose, can I do it better? And I think the work of people ops and HR aligns so beautifully with that. I don't really know what other career path there is for me. I love the people work. I mean,
Hmm.
I love being a content creator, but I think a lot of my content creation is fueled from the work I'm
It
experiencing.
is. Yeah.
And I think
You
I'll
can
do
see
it
that.
for as long as I can until I'm miserable. And then maybe I'll be an analyst.
Come on over,
That
girl.
was
Come
it was
on.
suggested on my
Shots fired.
comments. I'd like I said I would suggest it because I've done the work. I've seen
Yeah.
the hardship. I just, maybe people want that.
I mean, look, the impact that you want to make, we need more of that in the analyst space. I mean, for anybody who doesn't know what an analyst does, we're supposed to track, innovation cycles in like the world of work, in enterprise technology. We're also supposed to track, emerging trends in best practices on the practitioner side. Why do we do it? Well, we want to help practitioner leaders make better decisions, or have some more perspective on what's going on in the space around them. Do I need to buy this AI, or should I hold off? Like how should I solve these problems in front of me? And then we also want to work with vendors to make sure that they are building the solutions that people need, or that what they say is what they actually do. There's an accountability aspect to it. I don't see enough of the accountability part in our space because, and I mean no disrespect to any of the other analysts in our industry, including my own founder, Madeline, most of them haven't sat in that practitioner seat. And look, I only did for 1 year and I couldn't make it. It was too much. But I think like for myself, I wanted to, I was underemployed after the 2008 recession. I was working at an optometrist's office as a receptionist, and
You always have great glasses, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, your classes are great.
Oh, are you kidding me? These are like $5 cheapies off of Amazon, but thank you. But yeah, it was like I stumbled into this. Like there was a lead gen company that opened up upstairs from this office, and they were launching an HR market. And I had a lot of opinions about HR, being a millennial that nobody would hire, And then I started dogging on them, and I was like, hold on, wait. Actually, they have a really hard job. And the problems are obvious, but the solutions aren't. And so I wanted to keep leaning in and helping to solve it. So Hebba, we need more analysts that want to know what the actual problems are in our space so that we can help find meaningful solutions. And then maybe also just therapize when there is no solution. It is just something inevitable. I think a lot of my analyst colleagues and have just maybe got a little bit more preoccupied with tracking the innovation cycles, like tracking what vendors are doing. And I think it's really important for us to lean back into this practitioner experience, which is why I was so honored to be featured in this piece, although it's didn't land the way that all of us wanted it to. But yeah.
There's something to be said for the silver lining in market volatility that has impacted many of the millennial and Gen Z HR experiences. And that is the ability to pattern match through the adversities we've overcome, whether you've navigated layoffs, rifts, your startup that you were with didn't get that valuation or the next round you wanted it to, so you
I never
jumped into
do.
another.
They never do. 100%.
Right. Quick show of hands. Who has made more money in their severance packages than equity packages?
I've never even gotten a severance.
Oh, and they're, yeah, me. I had to think about I was doing math. Sorry.
No,
I'm just out money. Like I'm negative on both combined.
My Axios shares ended up being worth something. They got bought by Cox. So
There you
like,
go.
thank you,
Good for
Axios.
you.
That was a nice. I mean, let's to be clear, I don't have yacht money, but it was like a nice surprise.
No, and I think there's something to be said for just the future of work and how practitioners operate, because Hebba, you're making an impact by serving early stage founders and startups and first time founders, folks that are learning as they go. I know I'm doing similar work for other HR practitioners doing that work. It's signing up for a very different job than going into a different field or industry or non-tech. There's like 9 other categories in the S&P. And Kyle, like being able to pattern match and observe technology, like there are people today learning about like Greenhouse, and it's been out for 10, 12 years. There are people learning about Chat GPT like 5 years from now for the first time. So being able to have some guideposts on like what's going down and just almost have a repository of info. I know you're in my Rolodex for people I'm going to call when it comes to like, hey, didn't we already solve this problem? Or didn't we already try to do skills-based hiring 10 years ago?
Yeah.
These things that just keep being reinvented by early stage founders sometimes.
And propped up by overpaid analysts. Sorry. I can't not. I'm sorry.
And I want to see more voices on stage, but
Me too. That's the dream.
We're creating new spaces to connect. And like Hebba, you're doing that. Kyle, you're doing that. Everybody and their grandma has a podcast now, but we're building community through dialogue. And as we think about dialogue and the role of traditional journalism, you're both reaching an audience that craves new media in a more authentic way than the New York Times ever will. So let's set the record straight. If there is a takeaway that you wish the article said, what would it be?
I think that the first 2 paragraphs or first 3 paragraphs would have been, hey, you think you hate HR? HR is having a serious morale problem. And then the rest of the article would have been like, here's why every executive in the world needs to know and we need to solve this problem. HR does not make the world go round. Like I get that, but like the amount of the disruption that is near term, we're not talking about like 10 years out kind of future of work stuff. I'm talking about like the future of now. There is so much changing technologically, culturally, politically, economically. Like there is so much that we are going to need to help businesses navigate. And I'm worried about like the millennials who are feeling like, I don't know, shit on. We're not really going to step like the quiet quitters. You're looking at them, right? Like we're going to be like, sorry, bro, I'm over here consulting and making $1 million to solve this problem for people who care. Like we're not going to sit around. I think that's more of my takeaway is like, this is a risk for the future of work. It's not just that we're not happy. It's that poses a risk for, and complications for a lot of stuff that's yet to hit us.
Yeah. I would double down on that. And also, I think there could have been like this beautiful story being told between how employee engagement is also down. And that includes like HR people in that, but we're also the people responsible for driving employee engagement. And I think that we're dealing with like a loneliness epidemic. We're in a crisis of like remote work. There's so many other things that are impacting us and our ability to do the job. I almost wish it like dove even deeper into where this job is becoming. It just keeps like things keep getting added to this job. And so I wish that some discussion would be talked about how like pop culture views us as a joke. Executives think we're administrative. Employees hate us. And we are also now under all that pressure and then told that we are the single driver to make a business successful, other than its IP, it's its people. And so we have all of that pressure on us. And I just wish people had some effing grace. Like,
Yes.
I've been yelled at by employees. I've been treated badly by employees. Like, I've seen it all. I'm not sensitive enough to think that like I deserve to be treated like I walk on water. But like, we have a real crisis right now, and we aren't going to have a better working environment for anyone unless HR people are taken care of. Like,
Yes.
I just, how are we going to fix work if we're the people who are being treated the worst, and we're trying and we can't seem to get things fixed? It's just like, I hate that analogy, put your oxygen mask on first, but I wish the article would have taken like a more nuanced approach to like, here's why your HR people being miserable or feeling disengaged, here's the impact it actually has on your bottom dollar. Like, let's talk about how you build the future of business. You don't build it with disengaged HR leaders.
100%.
It matters. And it just, that was never a part of the narrative. It didn't really matter that we are not feeling great. And that's so shitty.
And HR and recruiting is historically scapegoated for
Everything.
the business's problems. It's always us. And I remember my first recruiting manager said, have thick skin and a bright smile and you'll be successful in recruiting. And it's so true. Because like, otherwise, why would you choose this? Like, if you didn't have empathy, if you didn't have optimism, if you didn't want to make a difference in people's lives in the community, internally at the company, as well as the role in society, like, go do something else. There's a million ways to make a living.
Yeah. I think the last thing people are forgetting too, and Kyle and I talked about this like earlier, we were on a call together and I was saying, like, who we elect, not to make this political, who we elect as president and who we elect in our local elections actually impact HR, because there are laws being passed. And I think like a great example is like, there's a stat about how pay transparency laws are more likely to pass in blue states. And so I think like the last piece of it is we are becoming, I feel like as a society, politics is becoming increasingly more interwoven into everything we do, especially at work. And I think the future of work also involves an HR leader who understands the legislative piece of it and how that's going to impact our work.
100%. I'm out here in Colorado. We got weed, mushrooms, and ketamine now. How are we supposed to navigate that in managing and holding people accountable at work?
Sounds like you guys are doing great,
like a blast,
man.
honestly. That's great. Live your best life.
Go off, King. Like,
we're gonna have a recruiting HR conference in Colorado.
Jesus,
Done. Sign me up.
Mess.
No, be a great time.
Don't invite the New York Times.
Yeah,
right?
They'll have something to say. They're all potheads. That's like that would be the headline.
HR is addicted to drugs and pain.
And pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
I'm a masochist for this role.
I always like to leave people with a little bit of advice. So if somebody is listening and they wanted a tactical takeaway, my advice is like, assume positive intent. Hebba, Kyle, do you have any advice for somebody who's out there in the work going into their next meeting?
Find your support circle. I can't like
Exactly what I was gonna say.
I didn't start a community for the sake of starting a community. I literally started a community because I needed somewhere to go shit talk. Like, I needed my safe space to go talk about the stuff I was dealing and see if anybody else was dealing with it, because I have nowhere to do that internally. I can go to my co-founders, but they're running their business, right? Like, I can't go to them and be like, ugh, this employee was mean to me today. But I can go to my community and be like, guess what, y'all? So-and-so catch an attitude with me today. So I think it's like, find your support network, your people that are going to listen to you, give you solutions. None of us are recreating a wheel. There's so many templates out there. If you can find a community that's willing to give you a solution to a quick problem that you can just solve and move on with your day, it's like the best.
Yep. I think the work we do matters immensely, but it doesn't matter at all to a lot of people. And I think that if you can just like accept that, I think that helps you define like, who do I want to focus my real energy on, and where do I just show up with a bright smile and, like, right. I mean, I'm too sensitive to stay in HR because I care about freaking everybody, but the work we do matters a lot. but it doesn't matter to a lot of people. So accept that. That's fine. Guess what? I don't give two shits about Major League Baseball or the NFL. Like, don't care. A lot of people do. So I think it's okay. It doesn't need to be accepted and valued by everybody. But you should know that the work you do matters no matter what.
Well, it does here. I can't thank you both enough for joining. Kyle, you'll be out in Vegas for HR Tech. But
virtual hugs.
Where else can people keep in touch with you?
Not on Twitter, because Elon Musk is toxic. He's a maniac. But I am on LinkedIn a lot. I like it. So find me there. Follow me on Instagram if you want a bunch of liberal memes.
That's so funny.
Hebba, how can people stay in touch with the work you're doing and where you're at?
LinkedIn. You can subscribe to the newsletter if you want. You could also follow me on LinkedIn. Mine's mostly awkward pictures of me trying to learn to pose, because I'm like, I'm terrible in pictures, and I'm just like, what do I do with my hands? So there are all these like funny pictures of me being like, I figured out where to put my hands today. Like, like as I'm posing.
BS, you're being humble. There is like this
loser.
It's like HR girly moment that's happening. And it started, I think, with you and your content. The newsletter is so freaking beautiful. The colors, I love looking at it, laughing at those memes. But like, if there is somebody that has like that side profile with a color backdrop on their photo, like, that's because you did it. And like, now we're seeing all these women in HR do it too. And it's like, yes, let's make HR a little bit more colorful and have some fun.
I just want HR to be not every time I join a company, the first thing someone says is, oh, HR is here. We can't have any fun. And I always reply with the same thing. You can have all the fun you can want, but you just can't harass your employees. Like, you just can't harass your coworkers. You can literally, everything else is fair game. Like, you just can't badly treat your employees. So I want us to be the fun committee, not the fun police.
100%. Well, thank you for joining. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I can't wait for the next article that comes out.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you for having us. You're the best.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Hope I didn't blow you up too hard.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's special episode with Hebba and Kyle. I just wanted to leave a note and say thank you so much to Hebba and Kyle for being so brave to speak to reporters, to speak their truth. It's really important that we as an HR community support one another, and I can't wait to see what they do next in their careers. Please connect with both of them on LinkedIn and show your outpouring of support. As you can hear from them both, it means the world to them. Please subscribe and like and share with your friends. Together, we'll empower the employee-employer relationship in the future of work.